To start things off on this episode, I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the States and hope y'all had an amazing Thanksgiving dinner. And this is going to be a special episode. It's really close to my heart, close to a lot of Toronto fans' heart. You know, this man, this specific person, did a lot for the city of Toronto and the country of Canada. And I'm pretty sure y'all know who I'm talking about. It's number 10 from Compton, DeMar DeRozan. This is the Airborne Podcast. I'm your host, Ajit, and we're going to break it down for you with all the rumors that have been spreading. So we heard recently that DeMar DeRozan was back on the trading block, and the Spurs were looking to get rid of him because he has, this is his last year on the contract, and I'm pretty sure with how bad the Spurs are doing, they don't want to re-sign him. Him and LaMarcus Aldridge have not worked out as well as they thought it would. They don't space the floor as well as they should. Because they're both just really good mid-range players, mid-range scorers. And there's a few teams out there that are rumored to make a trade for DeRozan. And I'm going to start off with our hometown team, the Toronto Raptors. Now, I love DeRozan and I appreciate everything he did for us, but there's no way in hell this makes sense for our team. He's a defensive liability. He's an isolation player. And the ball movement isn't as consistent as it should be when he's on the floor. And the way our team is playing, with Kawhi last year and then without Kawhi this year, our team is a lot better defensively than it ever was with any of the teams DeRozan was on. And for us to have to give up a first-round pick and give up Serge Ibaka or Marc Gasol I think is blasphemy, to be honest. I would not give up a first-round pick as much as I love DeRozan, and as much as it would be amazing to have him back on our team. Like, that's just adding, that's a story that the chapter's closed. We can't bring him back. And for DeRozan, I don't think he wants to come back. I mean, obviously, maybe there's a part of him that does because all his success and all his fame came from playing for Toronto, and all the hype has basically disappeared ever since he got traded to San Antonio. He's not getting the same type of that fame because San Antonio is such a small market and they're not doing so well. I'm pretty sure he would have got some sort of, fame or recognition if they were doing well. But last year you saw, I'm pretty sure they peaked last year, like them taking Denver Nuggets in the first round of 7 games. There was a possibility that they could have made it to the second round. But DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, none of them really came clutch. And people assume with DeJounte Murray coming back healthy and a few other players, breaking out last season, they thought maybe they'd be better defensively to kind of, take away from the flaws of DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge defensively. Orlando is another team that could possibly make a trade. They're a pretty good defensive team and they need some proper leadership and some real good scoring, and DeRozan can definitely offer them that. And I heard that he wants to come back to the Eastern Conference because that's where he would make another All-Star team, because clearly staying in the West is not going to help him or benefit him in any way to further his brand. As much as Serge Ibaka, is a replaceable piece on our team, I wouldn't give him up for DeRozan right now because Serge Ibaka came up big in the finals last year off the bench, and he's amazing, a rim protector who's basically like an insurance policy for Marc Gasol and vice versa. And both of them, that 1-2 combo that we have coming off the bench at the center position is as best or as good as it gets for any team in the league right now. Like, tell me a team that has 2 centers that are starting caliber that could literally, take over on a specific night. Like Marc Gasol, you saw him the other night against Joel Embiid. He basically shut him down, held him to a goose egg. And it wasn't just a small sample size. It was something that he's been doing ever since the playoffs last year. Ever since we got him, our defense went up, our three-point percentage went up, and our assist rating went up. And as much as I give him, I talk a lot about how he sucks offensively right now. I can understand he's coming from a long season First time making it to the finals, first time winning a championship, and first time winning a championship in Europe in the FIBA League. And, he's played a lot of games this season. So, I mean, as much as I talk shit, I would rather, I got to give him credit where credit's due. And he brings a lot more to the team and the game than the stat sheet shows. And, I appreciate him now more than ever after seeing that game against Philly, because if it wasn't for him, I'm pretty sure we would have lost that game. But back to DeMar DeRozan. So we talked about Orlando being a possible trade destination. Toronto definitely sounds like one that would make a lot of sense for DeRozan, but not for us. Ain't nobody giving a first-round pick for DeRozan right now, especially, coming off his last year on the contract. Unless someone's willing to take an expiring contract off the Spurs' hands, I don't see him being able to be traded. Detroit's pretty desperate. They're losing right now a lot, and Orlando is too. So that's why I can see both those destinations being a possibility. The only thing is with Detroit, they don't have a lot of floor spaces. So adding another guy that can't spread the floor is just making them more crowded in the paint. Like Blake Griffin has a pretty consistent 3-point shot, but I don't see him standing outside just shooting threes the whole time. And DeRozan, as good as he is as a facilitator, I don't see him helping that team. He has to go to a team that has a lot of good 3-point shooting and just needs extra scoring on the bench. I mean, not on the bench, but in the starting lineup. I could see Golden State doing it, but Golden State doesn't have the assets to trade for him. And because imagine Steph Curry, Klay Thompson standing out in the paint, and maybe they get, if Draymond can improve his 3-point shooting, or they can get another 3-point shooter that's really good. Like DeRozan can be that guy who gets that isolation position against another team, and then he can just dish it out to one of those three. Steph and Klay are some of the best 3-point shooting players we've seen in NBA history. So I could see him making sense in a system like that, even though it does require ball movement. But you need to surround DeRozan. That's the key. You got to surround DeRozan around guys that can actually shoot threes, because that's when he's at his best, where he can kick it out to people when he gets double teamed. Because we know DeRozan's a good enough player on the offensive end to demand a double team, and that is why a lot of people are intrigued by trading for him, even though it's just a rental for maybe about 6 months or so. Because I don't think he's going to get traded before the trade deadline. Another team that I heard wants to make a trade for him is Minnesota. Minnesota has Karl-Anthony Towns and has another DeMar DeRozan and Andrew Wiggins, basically. If they wanted to make a trade for... It doesn't make sense to make a trade for DeRozan because they let go of Jimmy Butler. If they wanted... they're trying to go young, right? So why would they trade for DeRozan, who's about 6 years older than Andrew Wiggins? It doesn't make sense. And they both shoot mid-range shots. And Andrew Wiggins is definitely, making a mark this season, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are doing better than people expected. So I don't see that making any sense for them. And I really do feel bad for DeMar DeRozan, because he went from being such an amazing asset on the team to now nobody wanting him, really. The rumors are out there, but you don't see anyone really pursuing him like that. He's like a Chris Paul. Like, no one wants that contract, and I don't know. That's what makes me sad about this whole situation, because he's so close to Toronto. Like, he embraced Toronto like no other. He embraced Toronto more than some Torontonians themselves, and that's the crazy part about it. And he always wanted to finish his career as a Raptor, but, he peaked on our team, and we were not going to beat LeBron James no matter what. And I honestly don't think we would have beat any of the teams last season if we did keep DeRozan one more year. I don't think we would have got past Philly, because he's not capable of making the shots those deadly crunch time shots like Kawhi Leonard did. And he doesn't space the floor, so they could have, he doesn't help us in that way. Whew. And I'm not going to say that he did bring us to the point where we were able to trade for a Kawhi Leonard. He was the main piece the Spurs wanted for us to basically eventually win the championship down the road. He brought our team from mediocrity to serious relevancy, and for that, we will always forever be grateful. But that doesn't mean we got to go back to the past to repay him for that championship. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to move forward. We're pretty young right now, and our young guys on the team are flourishing in this system with Nick Nurse at the head of everything, and it's amazing to watch. And as much as DeRozan's time here was amazing because he brought us up to this point, he got us to our first ever Eastern Conference Championship matchup with LeBron James and the Cavs. I mean, he got us our first playoff berth in I don't know how many years when, they made that Rudy Gay trade, and then they made that Rudy Gay trade to Sacramento, and they got Grievous Vasquez, Chuck Hayes, Patrick Patterson, and John Salmons from Sacramento, and we made that run that first time in the playoffs for in 2014 against the Brooklyn Nets, where we took them 7 games and eventually lost at that game, game-winning block by Paul Pierce. And then the following year, 2015, we played Washington. We got our butts waxed, getting swept by them, and that was a year we had Sweet Lou. Imagine if we had Sweet Lou still on our team. That kind of bothers me now. The fact that you see how you see him flourishing and being one of the best all-time bench scorers, and now he's with Kawhi Leonard, who eventually left us for that team to go home. Masai Ujiri, I mean, there's obviously still a lot left. A lot of, I would like to say, bad blood between the two of them, because you heard DeRozan say there's nothing to talk about. He said he got done dirty. But anyone in that position would have took that trade any day of the week. If we could go back and do that trade 10 times out of 10 times, we would do it, because we know how this story plays out. And as much as DeRozan wants to be salty about it, it was a business move. It wasn't personal. And he knows that the city still has love for him no matter what happens or where he plays. But Kawhi Leonard is just a better player. And he knows it now because of what we were able to do. And he could probably, the only thing that's probably helping him sleep at night is the fact that LeBron James left the East, and that was the only time we were able to go that far. But honestly, I think even with LeBron, if he stayed in the East, we would have beat that team. I mean, that Cavs team was really bad. The one that went to the finals in 2018. It was an embarrassment that we got beat by that team that year. It wasn't more of an embarrassment. It was atrocious that we got swept. We were the only team in that run with the Cavs that got swept. Every other Eastern Conference team took them to the 7 games. Whew. I want to talk about DeRozan's stats for a second, because this right here, he's done a lot, and I just want to remind everyone what he's done for us. So for DeMar DeRozan, he's scored a total of, I believe, 13,296 points. And he's all-time leader in points for us, obviously. And he also is the all-time leader in games played with about 675. He's also the leader in minutes played because he's the longest reigning Raptor that ever played for, in our uniform. He played for a total of 9 years, and if Kyle Lowry is able to make it through this season and next season, I'm pretty sure he'll probably take that first number 1 spot in games played. DeRozan played 22,986 minutes for our team. He's made 4,391 two-point field goals, and he's made 3,539 free throws for our team. It's just he's leading us in so many categories, and the one part that remains that people will never forget is when we had the chance to sign Chris Bosh back, but he left us for the Miami Heat, and DeRozan was the one to go on Twitter and be like, "Don't worry, Toronto, I got you." And he stuck to his word. He took us as far as he could. And those years, the first year we made it to the playoffs after missing so many years in 2014 was something you'd never forget. That was an exciting team to watch. I know y'all remember Vasquez. Even though we lost the playoff series against Washington, you saw that shimmy he did in Game 1, which will forever be a monumental moment in Toronto Raptors history. You remember 2016, breaking through that first round slump. Even though we lost, even after losing game one round after round after round, we were able to get it together as a team and win those series. We beat the Pacers in 7 games. We beat the Miami Heat in 7 games. And everyone thought when Cleveland beat us the first 2 games and wrecked us basically in Cleveland that we were just going to bow down and give up. But no, Bismack Biyombo said, listen, bro, like, I'm not scared of LeBron. And you saw how he played him. You saw how he blocked him at the rim. It was called the foul, but it was a clean block, and everybody knows that. And we were able to, with that team of Corey Joseph, Bismack Biyombo, Damari Carroll, we were able to win 2 games at home, take it back to Cleveland where we got waxed. And eventually we got waxed back in Toronto as well. But that was a really monumental moment as well because LeBron embraced that city, that country at the end of the postgame when he was talking to Doris Burke. And you saw how he said, I've never been a part of something like this. And you saw him embracing the crowd because, normally a franchise, if a team loses, they would just walk out, no celebration, no nothing, be salty about the loss. But no, every single fan in the arena that day appreciated what DeRozan and the team did, and they said, let's go Raptors. And you heard it for such a long time. And that was definitely a moment to remember, and that's something that will always live with us, even though there's been better moments now, especially last year. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. I went on a serious rant about DeRozan, but it's the truth. It's something close to my heart, something close to every Raptor's heart, every Raptor fan's heart. And Kyle Lowry obviously misses his best friend, but it is what it is. It's a business. Everyone knows it, and it worked out because now Lowry's a champion, and I don't think he regrets the decision anymore because you saw how he embraced Masai when they were raising up the Larry O.B., or right before they raised up the Larry O.B. But like I said, hit me up in the comment section if you have anything to say. Let me know if you have any trade packages. Drop it down below, and give me some ideas. Like, let me know what type of trade packages you think would make sense for what team, and if DeRozan could actually make a positive impact on a team, because ever since he left the Raptors, you see the Spurs have not been that relevant. They had their 22-year playoff streak going right now, but that looks like it's going to come to an end. But we just got to see. I mean, they might be able to make a trade when we don't know. It's just sad, man. But yeah, that's going to do it for now. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoyed this post-game podcast episode. And if you did, like I say always, show your boy that love. Leave a like on the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all for the next episode. Till then, stay blessed, stay woke. Peace!